and our first big trip is planned to go down to the Galapagos, and they're our partners on that trip.
Oh, excellent.
So you think that would be enough?
Lots of birds there.
And coming here. So I want to say a few words about why I like what I do, and acknowledge the people who made it possible. In my family, I am sometimes known as being long-winded, and so I brought the family sergeant-at-arms here today to enforce the curfew. So I want to start by telling you, I was having a drink at a dive bar in Wallingford a few weeks ago. I know that, what? You know, not where you usually picture me hanging out.
Wearing that jacket?
No. No, you go there not to be noticed. But I was, you know, people don't think of me as riding horses either, so sometimes it's good to get out of character. But I'm having a drink there and struck up a conversation with another fellow. It turned out he was also a doctor. He was an anesthesiologist from another institution. He was about 40-ish, and it's pretty clear to me he was not going to have a 40-year career. And we were talking about all the changes in medicine that have occurred, and pretty soon he just looked at me and says, "Old man, there's been so many changes in medicine we've seen. If you could turn the clock back 40 years, would you make the same choice again?" And without even taking another sip, I said, "Absolutely, I would. I really would." So why would I do that? In face value? I mean, there have been a lot of changes that we've seen, and I have to admit that doctors don't handle change all that well. I think most of my partners will recognize that. We like to keep in our comfort zone. We want medicine the way it was when we first decided that's what we wanted to do, but it's never been that way, and change is always going to occur. I mean, when I started out, medicine was practiced in small groups or solo practices. They were run by the partners, by the doctors. Now medicine is practiced in huge, multi-billion-dollar mega groups that have hundreds or thousands of doctors in them. Technology has changed everything. We now have wonderful electronic medical records, so we no longer have to try to read Dr. Rivkin's illegible, unintelligible, sprawling notes, handwritten notes. Now we can read perfectly legible, 10-page computer-generated progress notes that are equally unintelligible. So there's progress there. We used to be run our own practice, and now, of course, everybody's an employee of a big institution. We're in the digital age. If you read the Swedish intranet today, you can see that you can get a lot of your health care on an app on your phone. So medicine's become much more of an institutional experience as opposed to a personal experience. But if you're the patient, it's always been personal, and it still is. And it's that personal one-on-one interaction that gives us the challenges and the satisfaction that makes us want to be doctors. And that we can still get that, no matter what the changes are. So I know that sounds like old-fashioned or throwback to those good old days, and I have to admit that my kids see me that way, certainly. I can't help it if I know more songs by Cole Porter and Harold Arlen than I do by Beyonce. So, I mean, that's where I am. You heard Phil, he calls me Uncle Mike. Heidi sometimes calls me Dad or Pops when she wants a little extra cash. So, I've learned to deal with that. I don't wear these coats, but I still wear ties pretty often, and that's clearly gone out of fashion on the medical wards in favor of colorful socks. Now we have hip people, hip docs like Dr. Pagel, who are setting the fashion trends. So I have a bunch of ties. He's not here now, but I'm going to bring him some ties because I think he can make some pretty good socks out of that. So, you know, I may be a throwback, but I don't have a hat that says "Make Medicine Great Again." Economics and technology, they change, but the art of medicine, which we've heard talked about, that never goes out of fashion. So that's what I enjoy about it. And I've had pretty good training in how to practice medicine, and I want to acknowledge a bunch of people who've had a role in that. That starts with my father, who was an ophthalmologist and a great communicator and teacher, loved by his patients and students, and also had a great sense of humor. And published a bunch of books of light verse, and also was known for publishing an award-winning textbook on ophthalmology with the title, How to Prescribe Glasses Without Making a Spectacle of Yourself. That's a real book, and you don't make them like that anymore. Then there was the great hematologist Carl Moore, who was the chief of medicine at Washington U when I was there, and who was famous for his bedside manner. He was also famous as the doc who proved the immune basis of ITP by injecting himself with plasma from an affected patient and watching his platelets disappear, much to the horror of his fellows. And then I came to Seattle in 1973, and you've already heard that one of the first people I met was Hank Kaplan. That was a pretty auspicious beginning, and somehow I knew that we would ultimately end up partners. Then there was my mentor at the U, Clem Finch, and then the great internists at Summit Madison Medical Group, who really taught me a lot, including the iconic internists Kaz Scooby and Neil Elgee. These were very important influences. And then the just brilliant and wonderful partners that I've had at the Cancer Institute. I learned from them, still learn from them every day. So that's, you know, those have been important people. As they say, somebody already said, you're known by the company you keep, and I've certainly kept really good company. But I've been most fortunate in keeping company with the smartest and most compassionate and most fun care team that anybody could ever wish for. That's my fabulous nurses, Judy and Heidi, and my faithful and trusty PSC and MA, Wendy. And they're just an absolutely integral part of who I am and what I do. And nobody here would be here without being influenced by them. They say that the best time to think about your retirement is before your boss starts to think about your retirement. So I think that practicing oncology, you really have to be all in. But it's hard work, and as you get older, you just get more tired after a day at work. And it's harder to keep up as the field keeps moving faster and faster. So it seems like time is right. The clock keeps ticking, and your bucket list clock keeps running down. So it's time to do it. And now, as we used to say when it was a little more politically correct, behind every successful man is a woman who made it necessary. spend more time with that woman, and we'll see how much more time she can handle. But we're looking forward to that. There's a lot of places we want to go, a lot of time we want to spend with the little granddaughter, a lot of horses to be ridden. And so I thank you all for your support, and any of you who need a little counseling and want to meet me in one of those dive bars in Baltimore. Maybe there's one with a mechanical horse in there.